Pitts and Chase are kind of at the top of the list, and then I would have Smith, third there. And I like all of them, but Waddle to me, I'm not sold on Waddle because I didn't see enough of Waddle. I know he's got great speed, but I haven't seen enough of him. Saw plenty of DeVonta Smith, and he was outstanding. He was absolutely outstanding. The year he had was second to none. Jamar Chase didn't play this past season, but Jamar Chase's season from 2019 was outstanding. So I guess I would have ranked them a little bit differently, but hey, it's different opinions and different players. It's fine. I'm not condemning Jalen Waddle, and I don't think you're condemning DeVonta Smith. I think it is a legitimate concern, being 166 pounds and trying to compete in the NFL. Have other players done that at that height and weight? I mean, the Marvin Harrison comparison's brought up, and Marvin Harrison's a Hall of Famer. Okay, there are exceptions. Is he exceptional? He looks that way in college, that's for sure.
Well, I got Waddle 1, and it's because of the separation he gets. He's the fastest of the receivers. And there was a quote from Steve Sarkisian who coached Jalen Waddle at Alabama, but he also coached Reggie Bush at USC. Here's what he said about Waddle. He said he's extremely explosive. I would say I had a chance to work with Reggie Bush for 3 years at USC, and it's probably the closest thing, if not the same, from an explosiveness standpoint as Reggie was. Every time Jalen got his hands on the ball, you thought, oh my gosh, he might score. And that to me is what really separated him. And I thought the one thing this year that helped us, that helped him for the future, was we played him outside quite a bit the first half of the year before he got hurt. And I think he showed he's a real wide receiver. He's not a gadget player. He's a real wide receiver who can run routes and make plays, whether it's in the slot or outside. Now, the irony of all this is I'm worried about DeVonta Smith's size and Jalen Waddle's 240. I mean, that's not lost on me. But,
no, there's that, but there's everything else that Smith does, and he does at an elite level. He does everything at the elite level, with the exception of, hey, he doesn't have elite size. But his route running is elite. His ability to catch the football is elite. His ability to get open is elite. You question the size, and rightfully so, because, as you say, you line up against NFL corners, and you're right there in the line of scrimmage, and somebody comes up, and they're going to chuck you at the line of scrimmage, and you're going to be an easy guy to knock off because you're only 166 pounds. But is he quick enough to avoid that first contact and then really get the separation because the guy just committed to trying to knock him off the ball and he didn't even touch him?
248-539-9797. Let's get to our champ and chump nominations. And Gator will start. My champ of the weekend is Jonathan Bernier. The shots were 46-6. And the Redwings are leading most of that game. Was it 31-35-3, the shots?
I think, yeah, what did I sent you a text
with the picture. And it just kept getting worse and worse from there.
Yeah, I couldn't believe what I saw. And it was 35-3 in the second period. 8 minutes and something to go.
Kind of a rough weekend for champs, but that's my champ.
Yeah, I get that. My champs got the boy. I want to put him this Saturday. He had some runs. He had some runs. Takes the balls. That's unfortunate for him, but I want to start
Jason. You know you very well.
I am, if nothing else, I'm a fan of the people. I give the people what they want. People want to see Lois, I put Lois up on the Twitch screen. So my sleepy dog is entertaining people something.
Okay.
But being the man of the people, I agree 100% with the people. What the Lions want to do more than anything else is trade down, trade back. And what are they not going to do? They're not going to, people don't think they're going to draft the quarterback.
Okay.
Not in the first round.
Well, then the credit and the blame goes to you and the people. You and the people got one of them right. This
Just
is
the second part of that, for sure.
This is from Albert Breer, who wrote about every team and their needs. And then he writes, what you need to know. The Lions are the team in the top 10 hungriest for a trade down. And that makes sense, given they're working with just half dozen picks. Very few people who know Dan Campbell believe the receiver need will be addressed this high. More likely, as I see it, would be either Sewell or Northwestern's Rashawn Slater. The other name I've heard here is Parsons, which connects to Chris Spielman's influence in the new Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell regime. So it's not that they won't take a quarterback; it's that they won't take the receiver.
Well, I'm surprised by that, but I'm even more surprised that Albert Breer is going down the Chris Spielman wormhole narrative. I don't get it.
So it's funny because I'm not sure what to make of it. Now, given I don't dislike Chris Spielman, and I think having Chris Spielman in the room as a resource is not a bad thing. And we need to be careful here because it is Mike Florio and now Albert Breer are talking about Spielman's influence on the draft. It's gone so far as to have Florio implied that they would take Justin Fields because Spielman would prefer an Ohio State guy. That, I think, is silly. And I don't think Chris would operate that way, and I don't think anybody should operate that way. But then the idea that it would be a linebacker because Chris Spielman played linebacker, Chris Spielman might be able to provide some insight on the position. And Brad Holmes, when he addressed the media on Friday, did mention Spielman's been a resource for them. But, I guess what I hope here, Gator, is that he's replacing Rod Wood as a voice in the room. Because a lot of people think Rod Wood's been a voice in the room.
Right, and whatever with that. But I will say this. I love Chris Spielman. Love him as a player. As an analyst, broadcaster, I think he's great, and I'm a big fan of Chris Spielman. I think his influence is simply that he knows what Detroit Lions culture is, and he knows that he wants to get far away from it and change it as quickly as possible, and that might be about it. So when Sheila Ford Hamp has her plan of attack, and oh, by the way, it happens to jive with what Spielman wants too, and this is how we change the culture, I think that's it. Period. And they went out, they hired guys that they thought would help change that culture. And there goes the influence. Now, do I think, like you said, that he might be a resource when it comes to some players? Sure. Why not? Go ahead and, hey, here's a guy who watches football, pays attention, played at the highest level, he knows. What do you think? No, I think he's great. Okay, thanks, Chris. Then they'll go on and they'll trust their scouts more than they're going to trust Chris Spielman. Because the scouts do it for a living. He does it casually. There's a big difference there. So if they draft Micah Parsons, I'm going to be rolling my eyes at the first, second, third, fourth, and 10th time that somebody says, well, Chris Spielman's there. He's got it's going to happen. They're all going to say it, and it's going to drive me nuts because that's not why they're going to draft him. And maybe I'm going to be wrong. Maybe on draft night, on Thursday night, they draft Micah Parsons, and they come out and they say, well, you know what, we weren't sure about it. We talked to Chris, and Chris really sold us. He was pushing really hard for us to take Parsons, and in the end of the day, it was just too good to pass up. Now, if that happens, I'll eat my words, and so be it. And I'll shoot the boot, and I'll do it live. I'll do it live. Yeah. Hey, I have no problem with that, because that's how strongly I believe that that's not the case.
So if anybody from the Lions organization mentions Chris Spielman as a reason why they took Micah Parsons, or anybody, or just Micah Parsons?
No, if they say it the way that I just said, like he sold us, he pushed really hard. Well, okay, we're going to go with it. That's just, I think it's kind of ridiculous. I think it's a very strong possibility to take Micah Parsons. Why? because I happen to think linebacker is the number one position to need on this team because that's where you can find a playmaker, and he is one of a couple of real playmakers I think you can find at linebacker. So I think it's a real possibility that they take him, and it has absolutely nothing to do with Chris Spielman.
All right, 248-539-9797. There was a report this morning about trade talks, and it included the Detroit Lions. You will hear that report today at 11:02. 248-539-9797. Champ and Jump votes, get them in. We tally these things up and post on our website. It's People's Choice. Exercise your right to vote, right, Gator? Now let's talk about, hey, you have a chance to vote. Vote.
Yeah.
Who had the best weekend? Who had a weekend that stinks? One of those is a lot easier to figure out than the other. One of those, you have a plethora of choices of who has a weekend that stinks. And the other one is tough. Who's your champ?
Yes.
Who is your champ?
I think there's some good champs out there.
Well, there are some. I mean, generally we try and keep it local, but then you don't have to stay local. So do what you want. Exercise that right to vote. Because they're all write-in candidates. 248-539-9797. All right, coming up, let's get to this NFL rumor that involves the Lions. And at 11:35, did anybody bet the Pistons Saturday night at Indiana? Because if you did, you know why I'm going to talk about it. We'll get to that today at 11:35. Carson Anderson, 97.1. Hey, it's NFL Draft Week. Football fans, you know, this is an exciting time. And FanDuel Sportsbook is hooking new users up with 21 odds on Trevor Lawrence going number 1. That's crazy. That means a $5 bet wins you $100 when you bet on the projected number 1 pick. It's the biggest lock of this draft. Put an extra $100 in your pocket just for betting on Trevor Lawrence going number 1. To claim this exclusive offer, just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and sign up using the promo code DOUG. You can also make a variety of different bets from top 10 picks, each position, what you think each team will pick, and many more. Put your GM hat